Let's go. Let's go, everybody. Let's go. Good morning.
The game is over.
Free agency never fails on the Quasi train. Free agency never fails on the Quasi train. Under your butt. One, two, three. One, two, three. All right. Got to know how to hold it. Like on him rolling. Mashed potato. Through the alligator.
Friday Feast, 9 to noon. It's Nordo in for PA. Vocal maintenance season in play. And we are going to get to the TimberTech set list momentarily, let you know what's on tap for a Friday. Brett Blakemore produces. It's match day for Team USA, and I want to dig right into this and open up the show with my first guest. His name's Josh Wolff, assistant coach, Minnesota United. Go Loons. Georgia native, played college at University of South Carolina, accrued hundreds of games as a forward in Major League Soccer. Spent nearly a decade in the Team USA ranks. Making more than 50 appearances for the national squad, and was part of 2 World Cup trips. I've been pumped about this for a couple of days. Josh, nice to meet you virtually, and I really appreciate you giving me some time this morning.
No, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is awesome, and I want to get not just to this most recent incarnation of Team USA, big spot match in Seattle today with Australia, but I got to go down memory lane and go back to World Cup 2002. And part of the reason, as I mentioned, that I was excited to chat with you is, I'm 17. I'm on my couch, living and breathing every moment of this thing as I watched you and your squad make it to the quarterfinals in Seoul, in Korea in 2002. So a trip to the quarterfinals. Now, if we want to go back to 1930, Josh, we can say they were third place, very different universe and tournament back then. So I want to stick with the here and now in the modern times. You hear about Olympic Village in this isolated environment. We just experienced the Olympics a few months ago. What was it like, all the training, all the prep work, being selected, and then prepping for these matches on foreign soil? Take me back to Korea.
Yeah, I think, as you mentioned, there's the preparation aspect of it. So you do go into camp prior to you arrive in Korea, and we did a lot of that work in Cary, North Carolina, 2 or 3 weeks. We had 2 or 3 weeks. We had 3 games as they did this time to kind of have the send off before we got to Korea. But this was post 9/11 as well. So there was the arrival into South Korea, and obviously the spectacle of the World Cup. All eyes are on it. But there was a massive military presence, and as we arrived there, we had a boatload of security and more just to make the players and obviously everyone that was taking part of it feel safe. But you are isolated in a lot of ways. You have a pretty set place that you're at. Your hotel becomes your home base. Your families are close by, and Seoul Korea is it's a crowded big city. So we were pretty much confined to our space. We did get some free time, and Bruce was always adamant about, make sure you enjoy the moment, enjoy your family. But when it's work time, it's work time. And there's a lot that goes into all of that. And obviously then there's the games and what that takes on. But a lot of lead up to it. And obviously the preparation is massively important.
Yeah, there's got to be the element as you look back on it. And I'm sure you've done this mental exercise many times, but all that lead up, it felt like forever. And then the tournament itself, it was kind of a breeze, right? I mean, it just went by in a blink.
Yeah, it did. I think it's in any tournament that you get into, the first game is always so critical. And obviously we just witnessed the U.S. put in a big performance in their first. And we had Portugal, South Korea, and Poland in our group stage. So you look at that grouping and you feel maybe Poland's a team that you can get after, and Korea's the host, and and Portugal's just going to be a mountain to climb. But the way that it took place, you can never predict these tournaments, just as you've seen some of these games that the results just don't go the way you expect them to. So, Bruce is adamant about, keep yourselves in the game, understand the level of physicality, and, our spirit and attitude is what I think drives our, certainly all our sports in this country, but that was a big part of our success there as well.
Yeah, Josh, a week ago, Friday night, you're watching the United States put Paraguay, on an absolute L, and you dropped 4 on them, and it was just a big night, a great way to open the tournament for the Americans. But you had a front row ticket. You mentioned Portugal. And just kind of the underdog vibe, right? You guys America was still kind of licking their wounds soccer-wise from 1998. It was tough after all that build-up post-94. And you come in as the underdog in this mountain with Figo, Rui Costa, Pauletta. 36 minutes in, Brian McBride's got you up 3-rip. How was that moment as underdogs as you may have been? Didn't look that part as you put that lead on them in the first half.
Yeah, and it's again, you got to take your opportunities, and you mentioned it. Those players, their team, where they were ranked in the world, it was going to be a challenge. But we got off to a very good start, and you got to land your punches against these teams, and we knew they were better than us, but as a collective is how we're going to go about staying in the game and ultimately winning the game. So you grab a goal, obviously off a set piece, which is something we've been great on. A fluky goal where Landon crosses it and it gets deflected in the goal, and then an incredible cross from Tony Sana, a Minneapolis native, and Brian's, like you said, slamming it at the back post. And you're off and running 3-0, certainly very unexpected, but you got a lot to still do. So you can't get carried away with the moment. You get in at halftime and try to stay focused on what we got to go out and do in the second half. And, had it lasted 5 minutes longer, we might have tied. We knew we were in a little bit of trouble in the second half. It's, they still have a ton of quality. And, I think that's what was most impressive with the U.S. the other day. They came out, and really put it on Paraguay in every aspect. And, where they gave up a goal, the response was still good. You go out and get another one. And we should have probably put 5 or 6 up, but, that mentality is visible. You can see the camaraderie is visible. So, a lot of quality inside the group, and obviously today's a big game.
Yeah, it is. And the camaraderie matters that you mentioned. And really in the group stage, if you can pour it on, you have to. Goal differential and how that all frames up this second match, incredibly important. Tell me if I'm wrong, Josh. Your World Cup debut was in the second game against the host, Korea. What was it like seeing your number up on the board and trotting out there for the first time in the World Cup?
It was, it's exciting. It helps that you have put in a bit of work as a player with the Olympic team and the national team, but the World Cup's still the World Cup. It's the best and the biggest moment in all sports in the world. So, playing against Korea in Korea, that was probably one of the most intimidating stadiums that, I've been part of through qualifying or any of the World Cups, but playing them at their home venue, in their home turf, it was exciting. It was challenging. And we were able to nick a result. Obviously, Clint Mathis scores a great goal. Brad Friedel makes some saves. Again, you got to land some punches. You got to dodge some bullets. And you just got to grind. And, I think that was evident in those first 2 games. And, for me, I was elated to get in. Obviously, it was good to be part of the group and find a way to chip in. I think the balance inside our group was what probably made our team, the balance, the camaraderie. Obviously, our leadership, a good mix of young guys, really good mix of experienced guys, and these hungry younger players that were up and coming. So it led to a really good, a really good World Cup that we certainly achieved some goals and probably left our best performance at the end that we weren't able to get through, but a really good representation of who we were and where the sport was going in our country.
Yeah, the sport was going in a good direction. I think World Cup 2002, you think about the ebb and flow and hopefully the continued growth of Major League Soccer. World Cup 2002, I think, kind of meant something in that moment. But part of that cup, Josh, part of your run is, of course, in the round of 16, you dunk on Mexico 2-0 or 2-0. It's Blanco, it's the ageless Marquez. Once again, like Portugal, you guys are not supposed to be there, and you're not supposed to win this match. You assisted on the first goal. Let's get this thing started. Let's score first and see where it goes. Did you see Brian McBride peripherally as you dug that ball out? I think it was Claudio who pushed it into you. Or was it just instinctually, I got to find that open space?
Yeah, it was more instinctually just trying to get that ball into a space where we could attack it. I think when I'm running in, you're aware that Brian's in the box and people are arriving, but you want to put it into a spot that the attackers can try to arrive. And Claudio rolls in the corner, and you just kind of dig it out to some degree and get it around the corner. But Brian takes it extremely good. And you mentioned the rivalry with Mexico this was in the moment where it starts to flip more in our direction,
Yeah.
and it's heated. It's a combative game. There is no love lost in that game. I mean, you can see the intensity of it. You can see the bitterness that they showed when they went down, the nastiness that they showed when it started to turn in our favor and the game started to look like it was going to conclude. And that's what it was like back then. I think it's gotten a little bit more civil these days, but it's still a good rivalry. But those were different times, and we met the moment in a really, really good way. And it was the biggest moment for those two teams to face each other. Qualifying's qualifying, but you're at the World Cup, and to knock them out, you knew it hurt. You knew it really, really hurt them, and it was a lot of congratulatories on our side and excitement. But it was exciting to be part of.
Well, their whole conversation for decades in Mexico has been win the round of 16, and you guys housed them in that spot.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful thing. I'm curious, though. I had to watch back the game. I'm kind of a rube. I'm kind of a fan, so I watched some of these games back into the cups, just trying to get amped up. And I noticed, I wonder, Josh, when you see kind of the new rules in FIFA, they'll if you take too long trying to make a throw in, they'll actually just award it to the other team. We've seen a goal kick become a corner. Do you kind of pat yourself on the back for that yellow you got back in the day for they maybe thought you were time wasting on that throw in the Mexico game?
Yeah, I think there's all sports tend to have a little evolution. I think you want to do it in the right way. It's to help further the game and have more time in play. So,
yeah.
But when you're in the moment, you're doing anything and everything you can to win the game, slow it down. So I mean, it's part and parcel to what the game is like, but. You can see where the game is changing, the refereeing is changing, so it comes with it. I think it's very subjective, so you'll see the refs do a good job with it. Some of these things still go unnoticed and uncalled, so you do your best to play in that gray space and do everything you can to be on the right side of it at the end of the day.
And I know you would have preferred maybe just personally, it's like I would have liked to be on the end of a score, of a goal, but what is it like in the post-goal scrum in a World Cup?
Well, it's when you scored, you score a goal, it's everybody, it's everybody taking part in that. And obviously the guys on the bench, you work so hard for this as a group. There's the individual recognition, but, typically and most times there's a collective effort to create those chances, and the work that's been done as a group is why you celebrate so hard. But, the World Cup's different. It's a different world. It's just a different energy, different atmosphere, obviously a different moment. So, you can see it today. You see it in these games. The fans, the players, the benches, they erupt. And it should be. It's a big moment, and it's once every 4 years, and that's why it's so special. And even though there's new faces and new teams, and it's a bigger competition in that way, you still see it's a grind and how much it means to the players and the coaches, and obviously the fans.
I assume Torsten Frings not on the Christmas list. Maybe ref Hugh Dallas not on the Christmas list in regard to the quarterfinal match, the handball that was obvious to everybody except for the one guy that had a chance to call it.
Yeah, it's you'll always wonder about that. I mean, we are the up and coming team, and the Germans are the Germans, but there's no doubt in anyone's mind it's a handball, it's a red card, and it's a penalty. And I mentioned earlier, it was probably our best performance over the course of 90 minutes. Portugal was fantastic. We got out to a big start, and the first 45 was amazing. But on the day against Germany, we were quite good throughout the game.
Yeah.
Landon was exceptional. Oliver Kahn was tremendous for Germany. There's the stars of Germany and kind of our personnel that we have that were making plays on the day, but a very good performance that had the ref seen it and called it the right way, maybe you're offering yourselves into the semifinal, and that's, take your opportunities, and you don't believe in luck so much, but it's a little bit of the unfortunate side. I mean, Germany gets a call that they probably shouldn't get, and we're still talking about it today.
Absolutely, yeah. Just one of the toughest moments as a fan to see that not go your way. You would have had the chance, I think, in the semis, you would have faced the host again. So
that's exactly right.
You had already seen Korea. So, man, who knows what happens? All right, I don't want to play the what if game anymore because it's annoying me. It's bringing back bad memories. That's not the point of this. Through your playing career, now you're a dad. You've been coaching for 6 or 7 seasons now down in Austin. Now, welcome to Minnesota. A belated hello and welcome to the Loons. But, your kids play in Major League Soccer now, and you played with Claudio Reyna, and we just saw Gio score a goal. What are those moments like as a dad, and then just kind of cool, knowing Claudio as a teammate, and then seeing Gio have that moment like he had last Friday?
Yeah, I think as parents, you're excited for your kids to get an opportunity. It's different watching them play. I coached my own son in Austin for a number of years, and I have Tyler that's in Salt Lake and one that plays with Houston Dynamo too. So you're excited for their progression. You know how hard it's been throughout there for us, for myself, and for Claudio. These kids come up in an environment where they know they're in the spotlight of their dad and that name. And it's, that also creates pressure and stress and, unwanted things from the outside, but it's also what toughens you and hardens you a bit and, allows you to keep pushing. So Gio's goal was fantastic. He's always shown an incredible talent. His individual quality has taken him to Dortmund at a young age and the whole family, and you could see some of the reactions from Instagram and so forth, how they reacted. It's emotional. It's emotional for one because it's the World Cup, but two, when it's your kid, you're overjoyed. But there's a lot of work that's gone into that, and I think the whole family celebrates in that.
And now we're here. Just time for a few more with you again. Josh
Sure.
Wolff, assistant coach, Minnesota United. Member of the 2002 and the 2006 United States World Cup teams. Now to this newest team, to what we saw, and beauty. You can't make a mountain out of a molehill off of one performance, but it's back in the States, first time in 32 years. Needed them to show out. They did. What are some things that pop out to you about this team that says, getting out of the group, that's a basic. Round of 32, let's go. But this is a team that's connected and maybe ready to make a little run in front of the home faithful.
Yeah, I think so. I think that there's a lot of criticism that has come along the way over the last couple of years, and it's hard to get your best group on the field consistently through, we didn't have to go through qualifying, but through some of these games, these friendlies, these events that have taken place. But I think as you've gotten the group together, most importantly, you start to put together your best players, your best lineups, and your first 13, 14 guys become pretty clear. Then it's about building in the relationships inside the building, the continuity of the group, the camaraderie, and how you instill that, through your performances, but they off the field as well. So I think it's really, really clear the mentality and the connections of the players is at a high level right now. This is a generation that everybody's talked about. The talent is, these are the most talented players and I'd say collection of players that we've had, from a talent standpoint. And now they have the opportunity to make a mark that, most people were being quite critical of over the last 2 or 3 years that they're just incapable of doing, but they put in a good performance against Paraguay. They need to back that up with another solid one. Australia's a tough team. It's going to be a different type of game. So we'll have to show our maturity and obviously our ruthlessness when the opportunities come. And I think that will go a long way, but it's a tricky opponent. They'll be low block. They'll be tough to break down. And they are lightning fast going in transition. So it's a balancing act, and it'll be interesting to see the personnel that we start with. If there's any changes, tough to change based on the result, but you could always make some possible adjustments just to ensure that you have some certain qualities out on the field to help deal with what Australia is. But I think it will be aggressive. We'll dominate most of the game, but we got to be buttoned up for transition and set pieces.
Indeed. I couldn't agree with you more. But you mentioned any roster changes. Tough to do that after a win. You followed it, and you've been in training rooms. You've taken studs to the calf, to the ankle, to the top of the foot, etc. You know how much that can hurt, but you play through as much as you possibly can. This Christian Pulisic thing, not training the entire week in full with the squad. In your experience, does that give you a lean in terms of his availability today?
Yeah, I think you need him you want him in the group. If there's something that's is so remarkable that he can't play, then obviously you don't even risk it. But I would imagine he's starting today. I would imagine he's playing. He played and he competed for 45 minutes. The knock, while it may have been something that bothered him, they're up 3-0. I think that it's a cautious approach that you come in at halftime and make a proper decision. And now he should be, I would expect, be ready to go and start. And again, he's going to be highly influential in this game. And I think Balogun as well, certainly Weston, these guys up top did a really, really good job against Paraguay and unsettling them. And again, the back line did a great job of how we were able to control the opposition. So I expect Christian to be in there, and he's going to need to be influential, but some of the other stars are certainly going to have to show up as well.
No, absolutely. And I can't wait to see him on the field today. Hope that is the case, that he is indeed ready to start for Team USA. Lots of conversation. You mentioned the roster and the talent around this. Yeah. You carved out a terrific career for yourself, and it continues on now in the coaching ranks, locally, domestically, in Major League Soccer. And I'm sure you've heard the overtures. You know, we got to get more cats from Europe, and just iron sharpening iron in some of those development spots on the other side of the pond. What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, I think MLS has been a good, has shown great development and growth since 1994 when the World Cup was here previously. And as our league has gotten better, our coaching gets better, our development process for our young players is getting better. The more players we can get at high levels playing in bigger events, i.e. the Champions League, playing in the best leagues in Europe, I think the better overall picture our national team will be. It doesn't mean you see plenty of players from MLS on this roster, and that will continue to happen. Our league is getting stronger. Our league is getting more recognition, and the quality is increasing. So, yes, we're going to need players to get to Europe as well. We need those players to be playing, and that helps the dynamic and it helps the depth of our group. But what the game is doing in this country today is, again, you can see it with the fans, and you can see it from '94 to today. It's a much different world. The product on the field is much different. So the hoopla around the game is much different, and there's a lot to attribute to that. But our talent in general is been increasing considerably, and we just got to keep nurturing that and developing that in the right way. And players get opportunities to go abroad. You try to get in the best situation that you can. Sometimes it works out for players, and sometimes it doesn't. But our league is certainly strong as well, and it's improving. But you'll always have the want and the desire to get to Europe.
I love that. My last question for you, it might be the dumbest one you'll get all morning. What was it like for you, and what does it mean to these guys that we're watching today and beyond? What does it mean to put the flag on your chest? What does it mean to wear that shirt for your country? A lot of people question, hey, this guy's unbelievable with his club, and I didn't get everything I wanted with him out of the national team. There are others that put the country's shirt on, and suddenly they're Superman. What did that mean for you, getting the chance to represent America on the international stage?
Yeah, it's emotional. It's emotional. I think when you're younger, you think it'll last forever. And as you get older, there's a timeline. We have expiration dates. The career ends. So anytime you get a chance to put that on, you don't know when it's going to be your last time. You don't know what next opportunity is. So you want to maximize that. You represent your country. And that's, along with your brothers that are on the field and on the bench, you are now, in the most exposed position to show who you are and what it means to be an American. And that's where you take great pride and you take great responsibility in that. And I think our guys have given a great account of themselves, not just at this World Cup, but all World Cups. We've had a great spirit about us, whether it's a successful World Cup or not. If the adversity shows, we're still a very responsible group. And, you're very proud to take on that opportunity. And, these guys hopefully can make the most of it. We want some new history written. We're talking about 2002 is great, but let's be talking about, 2026 and what this team did for many, many years. But, looking forward to today's match. It's going to be a fun one to see.
Hey, with you on that, looking for new history, but, and I just appreciate you giving me time this morning. This was my pleasure, Josh. I was 17 on my couch in Mankato, Minnesota, watching you guys overseas and just building my fandom as a young person. And, you were an important part of this history that we're talking about. And you're also an important part of nurturing these Loons. Let's go Loons. They're on the chill right now, but I believe training is beckoning. So, handle business, and we'll catch up again soon. All right, Josh?
Sounds good. Thank you for that. I appreciate the support as well. Very kind. Thank you. Thank you.
That's awesome. That's Josh Wolff, assistant coach, Minnesota United. Go Loons, as I said. They are on pause with the World Cup break, but Josh and the Loons will get back at it. I think it's we're in the month range, somewhere, and it's like the week after the World Cup final, which I believe is July 19th. The Loons will resume activities and games that count. But Josh Wolff, also a member of 2 World Cup squads. 06. Well, there's a reason I didn't bring up 2006 because it didn't go well. But if there are consolation points, Team USA, I believe, did draw against Italy, who eventually would become World Cup champs. That also, I mean, that's the last time Italy's looked good, as a matter of fact.
Might have been the last time they were in the World Cup.
Well, hang on, it's only 3 straight.
Yeah,
Let's give them some credit. It's ever since Gigi Buffon retired is where Italy's downfall took place. But what that team did. So you have 1994, and again, it's Nordo in for PA. I love this tournament. It's once every 4 years, so I'm just soaking it in. World Cup 94 brings a fervor to this country. You host the World Cup, team gets out of the group, good times, bad times, but there's a fervor. That brings you Major League Soccer. And that had, well, kind of we were talking about expiration dates. That thing was on the ropes in the early 2000s. And then World Cup 2002 comes along. And this group with Landon Donovan, who's 20 years old at the time, I believe, a little bit older, Claudio Reyna, Brian McBride. You had some household names among the niche community of soccer fans, but then you had youngins like Josh Wolff making his debut in World Cup 2002. And off the 1998 affair in France, not only is the domestic league kind of fledgling and struggling, the MLS, but the international team almost had zero expectations. A lot of new faces trying to mix with the aging, and it was so hideous in World Cup 98. I think it was Steve Sampson, the head coach at that point in time, that, I don't know, just go over there and try to look competent. And they blow up one of the world powers in Portugal in the opening match, up 3-0, 36 minutes in. They do draw with the host, Korea. Kind of got pounded a little bit by Poland. Not sure what that was all about, but beating Mexico in the round of 16 was special, completely robbed. In the quarterfinals against Germany, you can go up and you can just find it on YouTube if so inclined. World Cup 2002, USA, Germany, Torsten Frings on the goal line. A header beats Oliver Kahn, the great, and Torsten Frings gets an arm on it, and the ref does not call the handball. And as you heard from Josh, would have been a red card and a penalty kick. And they didn't get it, and they were the better team on that particular day. But moments like that leading to now are really just special. And I love going down memory lane on stuff like that. Thanks to Eric Durkee, PR for Minnesota United, for setting that up with me. And that sets up the TimberTech set list. It is match day for Team USA, hosting in Seattle. It's going to be a rabid fan base. The 12s were in red, white, and blue this time for hopefully what is a rousing victory against Australia. That's at 2 p.m. And we will jump back into that. We're going to do kind of at 11:30, a little half and half, some Vikings and World Cup with Peter Carline, our official overseas England correspondent. So we're going to chat with him around 11:30. Paul Charchian is going to join me at 10 a.m. as we hit on some Vikings talkers. Also, just kind of rounding out midsummer-wise the NFC North. Why will these teams in our division, why will they win the division? Why they won't win the division? Simple enough, right? Weak spots and bright spots. Maybe we'll call it that. But Brett Blakemore produces. I'm Nordo in for PA on a Friday. Stick with us. Thank you for listening to The Fan. We'll be back in minutes.
You're listening to Eric Nordquist in for Paul Allen on The Fan.
Capital One offers no fees or minimums on checking accounts, and most Capital One cafes are...
You can get even closer to the action with KFAN breaking sports news, exclusive contests, and more. You can follow KFAN 1003 on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, YouTube, all of our social networks. Stay connected to the sports leader, The Fan.
So Brett. Producer Brett.
Hi, Nords.
How are you?
I'm all right. I'm hanging in there.
No, it's terrific. Thanks for hanging out with me the last few days as you have.
Wake-up calls a little earlier today. That's okay.
Oh, yeah, you did the Power Trip morning show as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there.
Not triple duty, though.
Yes.
So you are off at noon?
Yes, we'll be released at noon.
So I'm trying to find this here because I got it. Talking about, as I mentioned last segment, don't make mountains out of molehills. Have you ever heard that that cliche,
Once or
that
twice.
idiom, that adage? It's not new.
You didn't come up with that?
But I'm gonna do it a little bit. So yesterday, do you remember during News du Nord, it was heavy on soccer.
Naturally.
Yeah. And then I think just in passing, it was dismissive. Really, even I would go so far as to say condescending, as you just kind of flippantly breezed past the baseball team.
That's correct.
Yes, and I got a text her. I don't have I'll paraphrase it for you. It's ridiculous, it's preposterous, it's inexplicable that you would dismiss the Minnesota Twins in that way. They have some cool things going on, and people are hard on the Twins. So I read this text after you so rudely dismissed the baseball team during news. And no big deal. They go out and they sweep the Rangers 9-3 later in the day. This baseball team, 4 games under 500. They are a game and a half out of the wild card. They've won 4 in a row. But this texter kind of had me thinking. So many people dismiss the baseball team. And first of all, let's just full disclosure. You are an Atlanta Braves fan.
That is correct.
And they are comfortably.
They're very good.
In first place of I believe it's the AL East, is it not?
The NL East, yes.
NL East. And you're a Packers fan.
Yeah,
you do know this is a Minnesota sports radio station.
You didn't talk about the other 2 sports where I'm a fan of the Minnesota team.
Which ones are those?
Be the Wild and the Wolves.
Okay.
Howl.
All right, so you're halfway there.
Yeah, and the Braves bit is just family connection down there.
No,
Dad moved down there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Saw a bunch of games. That's all.
Okay, I'm sure if your dad ever finds his way to L.A., you'll be walking in with a Lakers cap.
No, it's too late.
If he ever finds his way to New York, suddenly it's a Yankee cap. You're wearing a Yankee cap better than a Yankee can.
When he moved down there when I was in first grade, it was not a fun time to be a Braves fan. I'll tell you, they stunk. So I had to put up with some bad baseball for
It's a nice Carolina Hurricane shirt you're wearing today. Starting to understand.
Hey, I have a question, though.
Oh.
Where would you put this texter in the
Polad Pocket Protector Power Rankings?
Copyright noon to 3? You got to be up there, right?
Well, he's got a point. That's what I was trying to eventually get to. So this baseball team, and sometimes as the summer goes on, we're going to have Derek Shelton on again. All tongue in cheek and bits aside. We want this baseball team to win every game. I personally do not participate in it's perpetual, it's evergreen, it's the hatred of an ownership group. I also fully support that. I also fully support and understand why fans do dismiss the baseball team. But this texter kind of got me thinking at first. It's like, well, do you know why? Do you know why? It was a sale a year ago that ultimately did not become a sale. Hey, we're moving on. No, wait. Hey, surprise, everybody. We're sticking around, and it's going to be great. Not to mention the fire sale. So we got a sale that wasn't a sale, and then we have a deadline midsummer fire sale. Things like that. The team that just a few years ago, finally winning playoff games, getting over that hump, the long decade and a half-ish drought. They lost like 18 straight, what was it? It was 18 years without a series win or something like that. I think we're going back, and now I feel dumb because it's not in front of me, but I know it. But at any rate, 2023, you break that. And you beat the Blue Jays in your game against the Stros. Everything's arrow up. And they just completely took dynamite to the foundation and blew that thing to smithereens. That is why, as I get a texter here, Twins, no one cares. And he did not spare an exclamation point. Said, love you guys. Hey, I don't know your name, but I love you too. Thanks for texting. 64686. Eric in Circle Pines. This team's ownership dismisses the baseball team. That is so now, again, that's the why, texter from yesterday. That's the why, albeit he's a vehement Braves, Lakers, and Yankees fan, an odd combo.
Not true.
Who's really excited that Stankoven and the Carolina Hurricanes finally won a Stanley Cup. He's super pumped about that. But that's why he dismissed the baseball team so flippantly, is because that is the aura around the team. However, it is not to be forgotten that many of you still love going to the park. You love those $2 beers before the first pitch. You love the peanuts. Maybe you keep score, F7. And so what you are watching, and you have the right to do, is you may even loathe the ownership group, the decisions they've made, but in the end, that is still your pastime. And there are few places to pass time than Target Field when it comes to beautiful spots. No doubt about that. But they're playing ball right now. They really are. Again, the 4 in a row, they're $1.50 out of the wild card. It's mid-June. I get it. But Shelton has these guys working. That's the beautiful part about this. And this, it's a fleeting conversation if I tell you, Twins fans, hey, look at what Derek Shelton is doing. I mean, it feels like in some ways he was only hired because he wants to manage regardless maybe of the extreme lack of resources he'll be given. Didn't go well in Pittsburgh, ain't ready to hang it up. So, you want a job? We're not going to give you much, but you're going to get paid and you get to manage a club and you get to raise some kids and we'll see what happens. And it's familiar confines. All right, I'll do it. We're not going to give you much, just as a reminder. And they haven't. They have not. The longevity of this team this season, specifically on the pitching side of things, I think that's going to be, it's like they're allowing, 4th, 5th most runs in all of baseball. It's not, I don't think that it's going to end well. There will be some clock striking midnight, carriage turns into a pumpkin, and we all go home with a bitter taste. But Buck is Buck. Buxton's dropping bombs. I don't know if you get, if you know this, as I get another text, Clement. Can't take this Twins team seriously. When they're good, it's completely by accident. They don't actually try to win or try to be good. It's always a pleasant surprise when they are good. I can't necessarily disagree with that. Another text. Brett is also an Arizona State fan, too. He abandoned our Tommies. See, that's come on, man. At some point, just, we are a Minnesota sports station. We're not Arizona. This isn't Sun Devils fan line, Brett.
What?
Apparently, you look like their coach. Isn't that right?
That's the bit.
Yeah. But Buxton's dropping, but he's 3rd in home runs in baseball. Royce Lewis, by the way, the slumper, who at one point in time never slumped, then he had it's like an 18-month slump. He's had, an electric 10-game stretch since he's been back. He took the green line to St. Paul, took the green line back. Now he's handling business, and I like it. Batting near 300, few homers, 7 RBI, dig that. Maybe you woke up. You got Brooks Lee, he's mashing. This Kreidler cat has appeared out of thin air. So the team is fun and definitely interesting. But again, everything is great minus the general loathing of the owners and their perceived lack of interest in winning. Exactly what that text said. It feels like it's completely by accident when they find success. Success, aptly stated. Pitching will be their undoing, I believe. But again, it's not for lack of effort. It's lack of resources. And Shelty's just got to sit there and do what he can with what he has. So that's kind of the why do we dismiss the Twins? Well, then yesterday, as this text was on my mind, wondering if this person was just oblivious or just one of the hardcore Twins fans. I get all the other stuff. I just want to see the baseball team. Respect that. Appreciate that. But the other side of it is people have the right, if they have some frustration about things, they have a right to not enjoy it. They have a right to not invest in it with merchandise. They have a right to not go to games, not buy streaming packages, and mock them whenever we talk about it. They have the right to do that too. But then I'm reading Dan Hayes' bit yesterday. Dan Hayes, don't hate the messenger. Dan Hayes is good at what he does. But apparently there's some Buxton trade rumor fodder. And what is this? Is this the third time now that Buxton has had to scream from a rooftop? I am a Twin. Here I am. I am a Twin. I want to be a Twin for life. And it just kind of irritated me. The trade deadline will be quite informative because, down the road, there's collective bargaining that has to be done. Will there be a salary floor? That would be interesting in how our favorite team handles that. Got a text. Royce Lewis won for his last 11. Yeah, he went 0 for 5 yesterday. I know that. Again, total product. Take a little zoom out. He's been overall very good since he came back. There's no reason for this team to trade Byron Buxton or Joe Ryan at the deadline. See how this has evolved? Just some texter had this in my head, and now I'm talking about trading Buxton and Joe Ryan. We should not do that. That's preposterous if they do it. Unless they request it. If Joe Ryan walks in the office and he says, sorry, dudes, time for me to move on. Hopefully you can get what you can get. Get the most for what you can at the deadline. If that actually happens, then you got to let him go. But the reason you trade those assets is to receive as much in return as possible to improve your team. Now, you get that already. We understand why trades happen. But this team in this situation, you're trading assets to receive as much in return as you can to potentially improve your team under a spending model and a top office ethos or philosophy that is completely uncompetitive. Of all the perceived bleep you moments that you can find with that group, this would be the biggest of them all if they were to move a guy like Buxton or Ryan. Again, unless they request it. Buxton isn't being moved. The idea that you would trade a marquee, again, franchise face of franchise guy. Hey, well, there's this cool there's this cool prospect. Yeah, we need, even a bullpen. What are you going to get? A bullpen arm? An aging infielder? What are you going to get that actually makes this team better in the long run if you trade a Byron Buxton? And I say that because you're not interested in overall spending to make your team competitive in the first place. The slap in the face would be one of the more embarrassing ones for a group that's written their own list of them. Enjoy these days while you have them potentially with Joe, because re-signing him, probably not a thing. Deadline, probably on the way out. Again, that part makes more sense. But if there's Buxton rumor fodder that exists out there, I just can't believe it. But this is why, now, again, 10 minutes later, to that texter, this is why people are dismissing the baseball team. The head-scratching, the infuriating decisions, the entire aura around that place is awful. But then you have Shelty, and then you have this team that is actually really fun to watch. It's a conundrum. Choose your path, I suppose. But that's, you know what we're going to do? Now we're going to completely dismiss the baseball team and move on.
That was it. We had our fun.
I couldn't believe these Buxton trade. What are we doing? Yeah, and I've just seen another text. Byron Buxton is at the peak of his value, so trade him now. I know his value is high. What are you trading him for?
Salary, probably.
That's the only reason.
Yeah.
And frankly, he's on an unbelievable contract. An unbelievable contract for what, after all these years, we've been waiting for it to happen. And we're getting it now. What are you trading him for if you have no interest in putting the pieces together to make your team truly competitive. By the way, last thing, within maybe the worst division in baseball. The worst division in baseball. Nothing is more gettable than the AL Central every single year. It's crazy.
Like, imagine the pushback if they played in a competent division where there is teams above 500, with winning records.
I've thought about that.
The pushback would be a lot more than it is.
See, and there we go. So, love the team. The team is interesting. The group is awesome. The other stuff around it, whew. All right, let's pause. Let's come back, change the topic, and then at the top of the hour, we're going to catch up with our guy, Paul Charchi. It's Nordo in for PA on the Fan.
You're listening to Nordo in...
Hey, you can join Nordo, the guy you're listening to right now, in the Fan for a Team USA watch party today. Dugarel's, Hastings. Catch USA take on Australia. Kickoff at 2 p.m. There's games, there's prizes, there's drink specials. While cheering on the red, white, and blue. We'll see you at Dugarel's in Hastings today at 2.
Yeah, can't wait for that. I've never been to Dugarel's. I have been to Hastings. Scenic, beautiful Hastings. Pumped to be down there. You're going to join me?
Yes, sir.
All right, sweet.
I'll be there.
Man, that's...
Probably just locked in on the TV and not talking very much. That's okay.
That's okay. I have to, and I'm loving these watch parties, like last week at B52, today in Hastings, I believe next Thursday night, a little bit later game, it's going to be at Heartbreakers in Chaska. Then there's Baldy's in Lakeville. There's a bunch of these watch parties throughout the tourney. But I have to watch the game back afterwards. Yeah. So it was a blast in Inver Grove at B52, and it's going to be a party today in Hastings. But then, because it was Friday night, I stayed up until 1 a.m, rewatching the entire game so that I could truly lock in and be a rube. And I'm probably going to rewatch the game tonight after hopefully a USA victory falls upon us. I think there's a chance USA can win the group today. So if the Americans beat, check my accuracy on this. I don't want to get too nuts here. If USA beats Australia, and then I think Paraguay has to get a result against Turkey.
Yeah.
And so that would push us over the top, and we would win the group. So we don't win the group just with a win this afternoon. We got to wait for Paraguay and Turkey. But if Paraguay gets a point or better, so they draw or win, then we are the Group D champions.
I'd imagine you guarantee a spot in the knockout stage with a win, regardless of what happens tonight. I imagine that would be the case. Hard to get knocked out with 6 points. But, if that would put them at 6 points, and then even a draw with Paraguay and Turkey would clinch the group, and now you're talking about playing a third-place team, which would be very nice.
Yeah, it would be very nice. How much have you followed the U.S. Open thus far? Because Fitzpatrick is at 3 under. It's Wyndham Clark right now. How about Dustin Johnson? When's the last time Dustin Johnson won anything of note? It's been so long, and Wyndham Clark he's punching lockers at Oakmont guy, and he's currently in the lead at 5 under at Shinnecock. Now, these numbers are a lot lower than I expected. That's why when I opened the show yesterday with Rocco Mediate, and I was kind of reading through some things about this course. I think the last time there was a big tourney there was 2018. There was the 2004 U.S. Open, and after Retief Goosen won it, I think he won it at 4 under over the weekend. The players came out en masse, and they're like, this place is a complete disaster. It's a hellscape. It is impossible to freaking play. And now we're seeing some low. I mean, Morikawa had a hideous day yesterday. He's 4 under on the day through 11 so far. Minus the wind, it sounds like this course is playing a little more, a little more realistic maybe than what people were expecting.
Yeah, and if you watch the coverage, it looks like there are some tee boxes that they had to make ridiculously long just put them in it right next to the practice green. Who cares as long as it's long enough to where players just can't outdrive the whole course. But yeah, I mean, I thought Scotty would be a factor, and he certainly can be. We've seen him come from behind in miraculous fashion, but 2 over after 1. My guy Hovland, 5 over, yuck. But yeah, it's a little lower than a U.S. Open is supposed to be a grind for even par. It's supposed to be
it should be
a
impossible.
bleep show. Exactly. Yeah. And it is to an extent, but when your leader is, I get he's through 9 of round 2, but when your leader's 5 under in the second round of a U.S. Open, it feels kind of not robbed, but it feels a little cheap. Like, I'm supposed to be watching them want to kick more lockers in, and they're just not right now.
Well, I wonder into the weekend, because the course, the people that put this thing together, they'll have a say into the weekend. Mm-hmm. So hole placements and various things, it can get a little wonky, and the boogeyman can peek his head out into Saturday and Sunday if he so chooses. Let's pause. Let's switch to some Vikings and NFC North talkers as we enter the 10 a.m. hour. Paul Charchian, catching up with him. I miss him. He's in a nuclear bunker somewhere in Utah, but he's going to join us next and switch the convo over to our favorite football team, the Minnesota Vikings. It's Nordo in for PA, Brett Blakemore producing. It's The Fan.
It's Eric Nordquist in for Paul Allen on The Fan.
From the 1-800-ASK-GARY Traffic Center. This report